Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Yinzer Brothers podcast. I'm TJ. I'm here with my brother Tim, and once again, you are hanging out with the Yinzer Bros. We're here today with a very special Yinzer Brothers. We're here with the Steelers-Browns preview. This should be quite a game. Anytime the Steelers and the Browns get together, Tim, it's epic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying every time. I mean, the past, year, maybe. The rest of the time, it's been utter and pretty much domination. I mean,
that's true.
You know, I don't want to give it every time this is an epic thing, because it's not. The Cleveland fans think it's like their Super Bowl every year. So
it is their Super Bowl. It's everything to them. I get it. Well, the last time, let's just be real, we played them. It didn't go so well. We lost to them in the playoffs, 48-37. They scored.
I was dressed up like a dog after the game. I feel like a little piece of my soul went to the football gods that night.
I think you're right. So now we have a chance at redemption, Tim. We have a legitimate chance at redemption. It's going to be a heck of a matchup. So why don't we start real quick and talk about the Browns? Let's look at the Browns offense specifically. We know that they're a run-first team, right? Last week they had Chubbs out, they had Kareem Hunt out, and still Johnson ran for like 150 yards. They got a good running attack. Again,
good line. They're very good line.
Keenum was in. He wasn't that great, but he's whatever. So what do you think about the Cleveland offense?
They got a good line. I mean, they got a top 5 O-line in the league, so I think you could plug me behind there and get like 4 or 5 yards.
You think 4 or 5 yards
for the game? I think we
for the game. Okay.
Yeah.
How many carries? How many carries do you think you got in you, Tim?
Carries?
Yeah. They hand you the ball
to get 4 or 5 yards in a game.
Yeah. You'd
have to give me the ball 30 times plus.
Do you think you could squeeze past like maybe a TJ Watt or a Highsmith maybe on? I mean, there's no way you're going to run a sweep. You're going to have to run between the tackles. Are you prepared to run between the tackles, Tim?
I would just catch them. I would get the handoff and just dive forward.
You would catch the ball.
So I get the handoff and I would just dive forward like a submarine forward. So I figure like 2 inches, 30 carries, and get you like 4 yards for the game.
Yeah, that's actually good math. So what do you think of their offense?
I mean, truthfully, I've been seeing all week that not all week, but it looks like Baker's going to play. I think I'd rather play Baker than Case Keenum, because at least with Case Keenum, like, he may not turn the ball over. He's a vet. He's been there in big. I mean, Baker, if I'm Cleveland, you may get 4 or 5 turnovers.
That's true.
And I personally don't think he's going to make it through the game if he plays.
Yeah, that's true. I would rather see Baker Mayfield than Keenum, definitely.
So that's one thing. The run game gets me nervous. Chubb's supposed to play. Steelers haven't been able to stop the run, it seems like, all year. So that gets me nervous. It does. I mean, I would hate to see them just get it just shoved down their throats for all game, but I don't know. They're rested, so we'll see.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. If you look at like Cleveland and Denver last week, it was a tight game, and Denver's not a juggernaut. And they ran the ball very well against Denver.
Yeah, but here's the kicker to that whole game, which people aren't really talking about. Denver lost Von Miller like in the first quarter.
That's true.
I mean, that's like yanking TJ Watt out of our lineup in the first quarter. That's huge out of your defense. So, I mean, that's going to take away a lot of your play action and any type of passing stuff you have in general. So I understand they ran the ball down their throats, and I think they ran it because, you'd respect the play action. But like I said, losing Von Miller is a huge part when you do that, and they squeaked by Denver. But then again, we squeaked by Denver too. So I don't know, man.
Yeah. Well, I think their running attack scares me more than their passing attack. It's not that they don't have some good receivers, but they're nicked up, and I think that I think we'll do okay with them. Again, I think we're missing Alu. We're missing a big run stopper on that left side.
I don't disagree with you. So we'll see. I don't know. I just have a feeling you're going to see a lot of Patrick Spillane in this game because they think he can stop the run, and it's going to drive me banana land.
Well, he's just a different type of linebacker. The other two we got, they're more like a side to side quick guys, and you got to keep them clean. And that we're proving right now we can't keep them clean. I wonder if they'll run any of that three linebacker passages if they put Ingram in the middle like they do every once in a while. That's intriguing to me.
TJ, I don't even know if they're going to dress Ingram this week.
I think they'll dress him.
I don't know. I wouldn't. It wouldn't stun me that he doesn't even dress this week.
Maybe you might be right. I don't know. Well, we know the offense is going to be a challenge. Let's flip over to the defense. We know their defense is pretty stout. Anytime you talk about the defense, you got to talk about Myles Garrett.
Their defense is garbage. It's garbage.
You got two good edge rushers. You got Garrett and you got Clowney on the other side too.
Clowney is the most. What's the word I'm looking? He may be the most overrated player in NFL history, just getting paid. Like he's getting. He's like the quarterback that was with the Bears, the backup quarterback, McDaniels. He was getting $10 million a year, and I think he played That's Clowney.
That's a nice gig.
Clowney's getting paid off the play he made at Michigan, where he knocked the dude's helmet off and ran for a touchdown.
Yeah,
it's the truth. I think he had one good year at Houston. One. The dude is not that good. The other dude, Myles Garrett. Murderer. He's a killer. He's a monster. He's
Who do you think's better, Garrett or TJ Watt? I mean, they're both elite. You got to put them both in the top. I don't know. I think they're in the top 3 for defensive players.
If you want to look at the top, if you want to look at the overall stats for their career, I mean, it's TJ Watt. I mean, his numbers are. You look at his raw numbers of where he's at in the history of any defensive player in the NFL.
He's a freak.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, Myles Garrett. If you look at the two, of course, if I'm not knowing who they are and I'm looking at the two in a lineup,
like a prison lineup, like they broke the law to him.
I mean, Myles Garrett's he
a big man.
He doesn't look human. I mean, he looks like one of the Avengers. And that's what he kind of looks like. I'm kind of like
he's a man. He's definitely a man. He's got to have 20 or 30 pounds on Watt too. I mean, he's a big man.
He's a freak. He looks like he was chiseled out of snow. If somebody could say, Tim, give me what's your dream body look like, I would just plop my head on Myles Garrett's body and be like, let's go.
Plop your head. That's great. So what do you think of their secondary? Does their secondary make you nervous?
I think it's banged up. I think their best corner is banged up, which I think so. I don't know if he's playing. I think he's playing, but he's banged up. If you look at their injury report, they're like a mass shooter, TJ. There's like 20 people on it. So they're banged up. So
that's good.
But even if they were healthy, their defense it doesn't strike fear in my heart. I think the Bengals have a better defense than them.
I think they do.
I mean, so I don't know what that means, but I think Buffalo has a better defense. I think there's a lot of teams that have better defenses than them. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the defense is beatable. Do you think we can run on them?
I think so, but TJ, as we get later predictions, I think again this is going to be a game where they're going to have to hit a couple big plays.
Yeah,
and I think once they hit those big plays, I think it's going to open up the running game.
Good. Sometimes you need that to open up the running game. That's true. We'll talk about the Steelers strategies in a second. Before we do that, let's open the Yinzer mailbag. What is the Yinzer mailbag, you may ask? That's when you, the fans, get to ask us anything you want. We're here to answer all of your questions. If you got any questions, you can send it to yinzerbros@gmail.com. If you're lucky enough, we'll get maybe some of your questions on this national, maybe soon to be, Tim, international podcast. I've heard they may be listening to our podcast in Canada.
Really?
That would make us international. Yeah.
Really?
And now, if we translated this into Spanish, we'd fly off the shelves. This would fly off the shelves.
I've heard our podcast. I've listened to it again with my mumbling. You could pretty much mistaken it probably for Spanish at some point.
That's
sometimes.
True. I agree.
So yeah. So let's go into the mailbag. We got a lot from Mush.
Good. I mean, That's good.
Mush came. Mush. Put it this way, TJ. Mush is screaming up the list this week. Screaming up the list. I will save his first question for later on. I think we'll get into that, and maybe Is it Tim versus the world? Is that or Tim versus
Yeah,
what
that's
is
a
it?
Tim versus the world. Yeah.
Okay. And we'll get into the first one. Okay. Does Tomlin's presser this week keep him off the list for the rest of the year? TJ, I'll go first. You know me, I'm always kind of iffy, wish-washy on Tomlin week to week.
You are. You are.
After watching that press conference and how he ended it, I would take a bullet for that man. I
I
would
know.
take a bullet for that man.
That's right.
I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah.
It
He
was incredible.
was. It was amazing. He was. I mean, is there a more demonstrative coach that's not a jerk in the league? I mean, the way he handled that was just beautiful. And like he just, if you could drop that mic, he dropped all four mics that were in front of him right as he left.
I am stunned that nobody, not a clothing company in Pittsburgh, took any of those last two quotes, and they haven't sold 1 million T-shirts by now.
Oh, they're coming. You know, they're coming. They're
I
coming.
mean, you could take either one of those lines of "never say never," but I'm saying never, or a booster doesn't have a big blank enough check. I mean, TJ, that's it. They were both incredible lines, and they were back to back. It was incredible.
He was on fire. So let me ask you a question now. So why do you think his name was linked to that job?
I heard a lot of, you hear a lot of national sports talks talking about
No?
is it racially motivated because he's an African American coach. I'm going to say partially to that because his peers that he's with that he named, I don't think Tallman's smarter than that. He just doesn't drop names to drop names.
Yeah.
Dropping Andy Reid and dropping
Sean Payton.
I think partially, he thought, maybe this is a racially charged, thing too. But I also think of it too as if I look at Payton, I look at Andy Reid, I could visualize Tomlin. He just the way he talks and the way he's captivating, he can captivate guys that are just come in the league at 19, 20, make people run through a brick wall.
Yeah.
And you could have guys that are in their late 30s want to run through a brick wall. I think he just relates to that demographic, and I think because he's such a good motivator, the way he talks, I think that's another reason maybe they bring his name up more than a Sean Payton or an Andy Reid. Andy Reid walks in, he's give me a cheeseburger, the Kool-Aid guy. Sean Payton doesn't seem like, he's not as much of a motivator as Tomlin would be. So you could kind of see that in a little bit of maybe him doing that in college. Like if he went back to college, say he did go to USC. That'd be a powerhouse, and he could be there for making probably as much as Saban's making. I think 10 million bucks a year, and be just if you're an 18-year-old kid on Southern California, Mike Tom, dude, I would want to go run through a brick wall for him. So I could see where they did that kind of ties, but
it's interesting to me because you get guys like they didn't bring up guys like Harbaugh and those guys. Talk about motivators and stuff like that. So I think it is interesting how they framed it, and obviously it hit a nerve for him. I mean, golly, it hit a nerve, and you got to love how he responds. That's what you like about Tomlin. I know that he may have some deficiencies in other areas, but man, I'll tell you what, he's a good motivator. What else you got in the mailbag? Okay,
yeah, definitely. And I could tell, you could see, like as he started that question, it seemed like as it went on, he got angrier. Anger and anger. It wasn't a type of thing where it kind of was like, at first it was kind of like, I'm going to answer this one time. Then it just, as it kind of got, you could tell he kind of just went from about 3 till about 10 by the end of that, which was pretty.
Well, he did mention too. He said he had the greatest job in sports. I mean, yeah, think about it. If you're going to work for a franchise in the NFL as a head coach, how do you beat the Rooneys?
TJ, I don't think, if you're my god-awful opinion, I think it's probably the best in all of sport, not just.
That's right.
I mean, is there any? I was thinking about this. I mean, NFL, no. Is there any sport or any team that you can think of in any sport at a major level that has had 3 managers or 3 coaches in 50 years?
Nothing even close. I mean, I think of Popovich maybe. And how long has he been in San Antonio? You got a few guys like that.
That's a good call, but
you talk about 3 though. I mean, they just don't exist.
No. So I mean, I do not blame him. Let's go with The mush is asking, or he made an observation for some time that Ben's issue is not with his arms, but is with his wheels. So he wants to revise his question to you that he asks every week. How many throws does Big Ben have left in his legs?
You know, that's a good observation. He's right. I mean, his issues are not with his arm. His issues are with his. You mentioned this, I think, last week. He's got some kind of happy feet, and we know this. His knees are just shot.
Well,
So
did you hear his Ben thingy that he does every couple weeks comes out? He actually made the statement that he knew he wasn't playing good because it was mechanic because of his lower body.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think even like last year. I mean, I think you spend so much time rehabbing that arm, you forget that it's the legs that feed the wolf. So I think it's a great observation. I mean, let's just be real. He's one. I'm not even gonna say vicious hit away, mediocre hit, twist, whatever it is from tearing up a knee, and he's done. I mean, I'm more worried about his knees than his arm, without a doubt. I don't know how you feel
Oh,
about it, but
I mean, TJ, like what more can you possibly do to your arm that he's already had done?
no, you're right.
It doesn't. I don't think it gets any worse on his arm. Period. But I mean, that elbow is. If his knee goes, I mean, yeah,
Well,
you
you
might as
could
well
tell
just.
when he's throwing the ball, especially those deep balls, he's throwing them a little bit too flat. And that's not just your arm, that's your legs, that's trajectory, that's stepping into things.
Mhm.
So if he can clean that up and have a nice pocket around him, I got to tell you this: the offense has really kept him. Last game they had a decent clean pocket around him. So
Past two,
step up, drop the ball
past
in.
past two games, he's not been getting hit.
No,
But my thing is, I don't even know if the way he talked in that video. I think that hip is actually bugging
sure,
him a lot more than happy feet. I think it's just he can't drive. He couldn't drive on the hip 'cause I think it's his right hip.
yeah,
And for a quarterback, that's you're pushing off that leg.
yeah,
So if
it's a
you
big
got
deal.
pain, if you got pain shooting up and down that hip to your knee, that's bad. Especially that torque on that. That's
Yeah,
you're gonna overcompensate with your arm, and you're gonna throw a lot of balls high.
yeah, which he's
That's what you
doing.
do.
It's exactly what he's doing. So, what do you think's going through like Mason Rudolph's head this week?
Oh, dude,
Do
again,
you think?
if I was Mason, I'd be like, I'd
I think I got the COVID.
I'd be trying to have somebody give him positive COVID test. But like, no, if I'm
Well, what's
Mason,
that
I
thing
don't
they do
know.
now? They put the thing on their forehead to make their forehead hot. So if you go to work, they bing you and they're like, "You got to go home. You got a fever."
I would just play the concussed role. I'd be like, I'm concussed. They're like, Mason, what happened? I hit my head coming off the bus. I don't know what happened. Good God.
No, I mean, there's no way Ben makes it clean through the year. I know
I
that.
don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I'm starting to think he might. I think the line's getting that much better. I think he might.
Wow.
All right. Let's go with. Do you think both starting quarterbacks will finish this game? I think Ben will. I
I
don't
don't
think
know.
if I don't
I
think
don't think
Baker's going to
Baker
finish this
Mayfield's
game.
gonna. I don't think he will either. I think he's one shot away. I think you get like a TJ Watt on him or an inspired Ingram or like maybe he won't play. I'll tell you what, Highsmith had a heck of a game last week, and he's
Yeah,
a
he's
big
good.
guy. He falls on you. That's a big deal.
hmm So that's
Yeah,
going to bring me to next. That's going to bring
yeah.
my next question then. What's your thoughts on Melvin Ingram trade talk? I mean, it's been dropped today. You knew something was weird when that came out of nowhere. I think on Sunday, before around the game time, it came out of nowhere, and I'm like, what are they talking about? And then you could tell it's gained some. I heard a lot more today coming from the NFL Network and people in exposed calls insiders about him wanting to trade.
Well, I don't know. I do know this. I know he's a good ball player. You want depth at that position. We do have three studs. I think what's pushed it more is, I mean, gosh, the development of Highsmith. Dear Lord.
TJ, if what did he expect?
I think it's what he signed on for. I just think I don't think he thought all through it. I mean, that's what it was going to be. But I mean, let's talk about, again, he's a great pickup. I think he's better than Dupree. I saw something come out today about Dupree. Is he still out or is he out for the year or something like that?
I don't know. He stinks.
Yeah, something came. I mean, you don't hear anything from him, so he was a good pickup.
Here's my thing about the more I thought about say about Ingram. He's complaining about his playing time. His playing time. His playing. That's why he wants to get traded. And I get it. He's older. He signed the deal for $4 million to probably try to. He probably was trying to get one more paycheck before he, rides off into the sunset. He was a late sign. He knew what he was getting involved in. TJ, Those guys were banged up. T.J. Watt and Highsmith at the beginning of the year. He was getting a lot of snaps. He has 1 sack and 2 tackles for a loss.
Yeah.
If that's me and I'm getting all that playing time and I'm kind of like, I want them to have an excuse to have to take me off the field.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, if he was playing lights out and he was getting pressures, but if he's playing lights out, like you want to play 50% of the snaps, you have more than 1 sack and 2 tackles for losses.
That's true. So let's just throw it hypothetically. Let's say you can get an offensive lineman or even a D lineman for him. Do you pull the trigger?
If it's a D lineman, maybe, but if it tells you if they pull the trigger for a D lineman, you're not going to see two. Some were to it. The one that I heard that I kind of perked my ears a little bit was, I mean, since J.J. Watt's out for the year now with Arizona, they have a receiver that I know the Steelers are pretty high on. I can't remember his name, Annabella or something weird. Does not get a ton of playing time with, and he's young. I think he's on year 2, maybe. Guy's a speedster, speed demon. Maybe think about doing that, and you kind of don't got to worry about your slot guys. You have him young. He's here for rookie deal for another 3 years. You don't got to worry about drafting maybe a potential wide receiver next year if you got this dude. And he has, because I think he was either a first or second round pick or something like that. So he has talent. I mean, I think he was in the same class as I think Claypool actually. So just a thought. I don't know. Yeah. But to me, I heard the Chiefs were interested, but they didn't want to trade him to the Chiefs. They didn't want to see him.
Yeah, you don't want to see him in the AFC, and you will see him in the AFC. Boy, you talk about dumpster fire. The Chiefs are struggling right now.
But if you get to a point now and he turns into a big time cancer, it's like, what do you do?
You dump him. Do
you think the Steelers would dump him or just say, hey, go sit on the sideline? Because if I'm him, put it this way, if I'm the Steelers, I'll pay your $4 million. You go sit there and do nothing. You waste another year. You turn 33. You ain't going to get a contract next year if you want to play that type of. But that's me. I'm a jerk, so I'd be the captain. Jerk about that. But
we know that the Steelers have been entertaining stuff because they did talk about Kansas City. They just wanted another. They want to put them in the NFC somewhere. I get it.
Yep. So let me another question for you. What's your total sacks for both teams? You think in this week? Over unders?
I think Cleveland will have 2. I think the Steelers will have. They're going to be run heavy, so that always drops the total. I think you're looking at 2 apiece. Okay. Yeah, that would be my guess. I mean, if the Steelers are ahead, and the Browns have to throw, then I think you could see that number creep up to 3 or 4.
I don't want to answer that question because I'll leave that later because I have an idea of my predictions of what I think is going to happen during the game, and that would kind of give you your hint into how many sacks I think the Steelers defense is going to have.
Okay, that's fair.
Last question I got for this. We got this one and another one. With Banner healthy, do you plug him in now or do you leave the line the way it is?
Well, that's the $1 million question, because they look like they're starting to gel, huh? But Banner's, he's just, we have him for a reason. What do you think, Tim? I don't know.
The line has been clean the past 2 games. I'm not touching it. Chooks has played incredible the past 2 games. So are you going to put him in for the other tackle? Because he's usually the left tackle where Chooks is playing, I believe. Mm-hmm. So TJ, if it's me right now, I'm not touching the line. They finally look like they're all right. Until you have a reason to put Banner in, I would leave it as be. But I would use him more as that heavy set type of deal. Bring him in, a little bit more for running and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that can't hurt you if you put a heavy package in with 6 linemen. I think that's fine. Mm-hmm. I think you're right. I think they earned the right to stay together. Yeah, give them a shot. Let them keep moving.
Past 2 weeks, they've been good. They've been good. They have been good.
Well, how do you feel about this young offensive line coach? He looks like he's starting to at least do something with these guys, which is good.
TJ, the more I think about it, it's like, what did you expect? If you kind of see the hints they said early in the year, even Ben said, going to take a while for the offense. It's going to take a while for the offense. That offensive starting line didn't even play together in the preseason one time.
You're right.
As a unit. The first time they said as a unit was week 1. You and I have played football. That's the unit. I think the one unit you need to really you you need to grow.
It
So
is.
and I think I said it earlier. I was like, I think there's going to be a big difference from this team from the beginning of the year and the end of the year. Towards the end of the year, I'm still a firm believer. Everybody's a garbage. I think they're going to be a team where everybody's going to be going, there ain't no way in hell I want to play the Steelers deep in the year.
I agree. I think you're right.
Okay, last question of the mailbox. At the end of his career, is Baker going to be known for A, his play on the field, or B, his Progressive commercials?
I think it's going to be the latter, because I think you're going to see his. I know this. I know that Cleveland didn't pick up his 5th-year option. That should tell you all you need to know, right?
He better play lights out the rest of the year, or that dude is not getting paid.
He's not. He's not. I mean, somebody will take him somewhere, but he's not. I mean, who couldn't you put in that team in Cleveland right now where they wouldn't be successful as a quarterback?
TJ, if you had I'd say a top 10 quarterback in the league, and you plug him behind that Cleveland team, that's not a team that I'd want to play. I mean, because like you said, they not only do they have the running game, they do have like offensive weapons, receivers.
They do.
And it's just like, you got OBJ, and he's just wasting. The dude, I know he can't stay healthy, but he's good, and he's just he's wasting away, which is I don't know why they don't trade him.
You know where they're probably going to trade him? You know where he's going to go? I can tell you right now where he's going to go. Somehow, some way.
I know where I would trade him if I'm the team that I'm pushing for stuff. But
where would you trade him to?
If I'm Green Bay, I am trying to get him as fast and as quick as possible. Because if you tag him with Devontae Adams and that crew, holy crap!
Yeah, he's pretty special. I've heard talk of him going to possibly New Orleans. He'll go NFC somewhere. I mean,
Green Bay would be destined. If I'm Green Bay, I'm going, and I know that it's pretty much. This is my last ride with Aaron Rodgers. You give him that weapon, boy, yikes!
It's scary. Cool. Is that it for the mailbag?
That's what we got.
Good. Okay, well, that's it for the Yinzer mailbag. Again, if you got any questions, you can email us at yinzerbros@gmail.com, and we'll get to your question as soon as we can. Now, let's flip over to the Steelers now. Let's start with the Steelers offense. Tim, what does the Steelers offense have to do to win this game against the Browns?
The Steelers offense has to control. I think they got to get up early.
Yeah.
I mean, it's dumb to say, but when I say early, I think they got to get up by like 10 points and have Cleveland chasing.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy. I think you're right.
I mean, I think that's what every NFL team wants to do every freaking game. I mean, it's the dumbest thing to say, but I mean, I don't think you want to be in a slugfest with this team come the fourth quarter.
No, I think you're right. So I think along that line, so they got to keep Ben upright. They got to protect him. They have I think they have a weakened secondary, like you said. So I think they can take some shots downfield. It would be great. I think I'm with you when you say that. I think this game you got to pass in order to run. You got to stretch the field a little bit in order to run. But who knows? I think we'll get to see, the threat of them even running the ball a little bit better. Let's see how that affects this Cleveland defense. Who's your offensive player to watch in the game?
I think this is, and I know he had a good year last year, and I don't know if he's under the radar or anything. I don't. I think this is the beginning of a holy crap. Chase Claypool is a monster, and I'm not talking just for 1 week. I think this is the game that's going to catapult him into like top 10 discussion in receivers in the league for the rest of his career.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's how big of a game I think he's going to have this game.
I think you're totally right. He was the one I targeted too. I think he's going to have a monster game. I don't think they're going to know what to do with him. I could see him having 2 or 3 touchdowns this game. I think he's going to be that kind of a guy.
I see Randy Moss type game for him.
I agree.
I just do. I have this feeling that he's going to be stretching the field, and you're going to see him have some catches, and you're going to be like, my my God, he's on. The guy's unstoppable.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's the guy I picked too. So let's talk about the defense. What do you think the Steeler defense has to do in order to win this game against the Browns?
Of course, they got to stop the run, but I think they'll do that. I'm more worried about the explosive one plays. As they're stopping the run, they're syncing up these linebackers, and somehow one of these receivers gets behind the secondary, and they get beat deep on quick plays. I'd rather see Baker or whoever's playing quarterback have to dink and dunk the way down the field to beat the defense, because I don't think they can do it.
No, I agree. I'm with you. I think that they got to stop the run. I think turnovers will be big in this game. I think this is going to be a game Mika's going to come back to. I think you'll see something.
That's who I'm thinking is going to do something. In PT, when I say they got to stop the run, I don't think they got to stop it, just like cold hard stop it in general. If Cleveland gets 100, they get 100.
Yeah.
They just can't have the big gushing plays, or even on the run game. I think if Cleveland runs for 150 yards, and it's 5 yards, as long as they're not going to give up explosive plays in either running game or passing game, I think they're going to win.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're right.
Because like I said, again, I don't believe that team, because I don't think they're going to be able, either one of those quarterbacks are going to be able to make that throw that needs to be made at some point in that drive. If they're getting, running 4 or 5 yards, are they going to make that 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4? I think at some point they're going to make a mistake.
Yeah, no, I agree. So your player of the game is, you think it's Mika?
On D, I think it's time Mika. I think he's going to have a pick, or maybe even 2.
Yeah, I think he could. You're right. It's hard. I think him, and I think it's interesting to me, the way that TJ Watt rose in the last game. That's what you want to see. You pay these money for those big games, and gosh, did he show up? So, and Baker's not the most secure guy with the football either. So this could be an interesting game. Cool.
And you can't tell me, if you're Baker, that shoulder is not going to be on your mind all game. We're trying to protect that shoulder. You see TJ Watt or even Highsmith come around that corner, you're going to get rid of that ball early just to protect that shoulder, so they're not putting you on that shoulder, because everybody and their mother is going to be doing that.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, I think you're right. So give me a score prediction. What do you think the prediction of the game is going to be?
This is part of my thing. I think Chase Claypool's have a monster game. I think the Steelers are going to get early, big early, maybe 10 to 14 points early. Ain't going to be like Seattle. I think they're going to get up, and I think it's going to force Cleveland to throw the ball, and they're going to be turning it over like a hot potato the rest of the game. I personally think the Steelers are going to go in there and blow them out. And this is going to be a ridiculous statement game. And this is where I guess this game's going to suck me in. And TJ, I hate to say it, next week's game screams. I thought the Cincinnati game, because I thought Cincinnati stunk, was the Tomlin game. Next week's game screams Tomlin game. Screams it. So I'm going to say 31-17. But I think it's going to be one of those 17 points where Cleveland's last junk seconds type of deal, where the Steelers are pretty much in control of the game.
I'm going to go 27-10. I think the Steelers do win. I'll tell you what, let's just talk about this real quick too. So the Steelers' 3 losses, we lost against Cincinnati, right? Mm-hmm. The Raiders. Mm-hmm. Who was our other loss to?
Green Bay.
To Green Bay. All those guys, those 3 teams are all top of their division right now.
Yes, I know.
I mean, all of them. So, they weren't slouches.
And you can't tell me if TJ Watt doesn't get hurt in the Raider game, they lose that game. I don't believe
you're
that.
Right. I think you're right.
I think the Cincinnati game, if he's playing, both linebackers weren't playing Cincinnati game. Highsmith or TJ Watt.
You're right.
It's a different ball game.
It is.
The Green Bay game, they got their face kicked in. It is what it is. But then again, the field goal was a huge call in that game too. It was huge. So looking back on it, maybe the Steelers aren't that bad.
No, I think they're better than we think they are.
They did beat Buffalo.
They did,
and it wasn't like it was. It wasn't. They beat them. I don't say soundly, but they beat them pretty.
They did. No, I agree. So who do you think? After Cincinnati beat the Ravens, are they the team?
TJ, again, you were saying, hey, you think the Ravens were the cream of the crop? I don't think. before that game, after I never thought the Ravens were the cream of the crop because anytime you lose to a Detroit team on a 60 or win on a 65-yard field goal, you're not that good. And they were in too many close games. Boy, the Titans are looking frightening.
They are
frightening, TJ. And that's one of those teams too. It's like I thought they would be a handful come January, late December, January, because TJ, they have grown men all over the field.
They do.
I mean, they do. The receivers look like tight ends. The running
And
back
Bud
looks
Dupree's
like
not one of them. Bud Dupree's not.
That's going to be their only kind of Achilles heel, dude. That offense, dude. Henry is
He's a
TJ.
He's a man, Tim. He's a man.
I mean, I would be scared that. Yeah, man, he is like even getting like hit by like his big ponytail at the end.
Yeah,
I think that would knock. I think that would knock me out cold.
It probably would. It probably would. All right. Well, we got one other little segment. Tim as always has these incredible encounters. So we have a segment that comes on every once in a while on Yinzer Bros called Tim versus the World. Tim had another encounter this last week. Tim, tell me a little bit about your encounter. We're almost to the end of the podcast, but I think this is worth a listen.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm guessing that any cold-blooded or whatever, husband, fiance, longtime boyfriend,
Cold-blooded,
whatever. I don't know why that came out of my mouth.
No.
You've always had that special trip that your wife, your girlfriend, or even maybe you had to do for your daughter to get them some type of feminine product or whatnot it is.
Sure.
So it's a Friday, and I have to go to Walgreens to get some sleepy pills. I had trouble sleeping, so I needed the melatonin. A little melatonin.
That's good.
I need some melatonin.
Sure, nothing wrong with a little melatonin.
So, I go to my wife. I go, hey, I got to run down to Walgreens. Do you need anything? That was probably mistake one.
That was mistake one. Yep, it was.
Since we're both working from home, she's kind of turned in her chair and I knew that look right there. I go, okay, here we go. So she gives me, hey, can you pick these feminine products up? I go, and what can you say? I go, any guys like you really serious?
Well,
do I have to do this?
You're a good husband, so you do what you got to do.
So my wife, like, if I screw something up, regardless if it's cookies, that, anything, an order, and I don't make sure it's right, I'm going to get crucified when I get home. Like crucified.
So how often do you get those things wrong, Tim?
I'm shooting probably at a 90% clip.
Okay, continue. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
I just didn't want to have, I was like, okay. I told her, I was like, whatever you need, you send me a picture. And so I get down to Walgreens, I get the picture, and I'm going, holy crap. And I kind of like asked her, she's like, what aisle do I look in? I don't even know where to go. She kind of tells me, hey, it should be in this aisle. I'm going, whatever. So in my dumb brain, I go get this is the last thing I want to do. It's the last checklist on the item.
I get it.
The Walgreens by my house, normally there's 3 people in it. I go there this day, TJ. When you go like to a Walgreens or one of the places and they have the code red on the thing, and they're taking people like at the photo place over there. That's
yeah.
It was like that. I was like, it was like a zoo. So I'm going, okay, let me think my brain. I'm going to get all my stuff that I need to get, and she sends me a picture and I'm looking at it, I'm going, I'm making sure that this, like, they know this is for my wife. There's going to be like, I'm not messing around or whatever. So I get my melatonin. I go down. I'm like, I'm going to get some jerky. I'm getting some man stuff. Give me some jerky.
That's right. Balance out the female products. I get it.
Give me some jerky. Got some candy bars.
Could you buy this Frank Thomas testosterone pills or something like that maybe there?
I know. I buy this. That's the stuff I get off Amazon, which I don't even know is legal.
Is that the one that's got the bull on the front?
I think I kind of switch back and forth. One has like a bull on the front, looks like a devil. The other one's and I go back and forth between that one and the one. There's a wolf that's like a devil too.
Did they actually work, Tim, or no?
I mean, that hemorrhoids are coming back, so I don't know. So, anyways, so I go get the jerky. I go get the candy, and I don't want. I have a little basket. The baskets you can kind of hold.
Oh, sure.
So I'm ready to go get that stuff, and I start chugging through the different aisles. Whatever my wife said, there's nothing up there, like up on the top. She says, hey, you can look for this and it should be down that aisle. So you could picture me, I'm walking and like, I got this look of just confusion on my eyes. Scared. I'm like, okay.
Scared.
So I turn the aisle and I start walking up the aisle. This lady that she had to be pushing way late 50s, maybe early 60s, says, sir, can I help you? I go, under my better judgment, I go, yeah, can you help me out? I was like, I'm looking for this. And like, as I'm looking, I had the picture of my phone. She just takes my phone. She grabs my phone. She doesn't even say, hey, can I see the picture? She just takes it. And she goes directly to the aisle where it's at. TJ, we walk up there. Only I can compare it to is, when you go to the hardware store and you're looking for paint.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And all the different colors are on there. The swabs of different colors.
Yeah.
That's what the wall was like.
There's a lot of products. I know. I get it.
TJ, I go, and it gets to this point where this lady is like, she starts going, she's like, I haven't looked for these. I haven't in years. I go, this is going to be a problem. And she's getting louder and louder. So TJ, she's looking up and down. Like, I probably would have gotten it quicker if I just was by myself doing it. This lady's going, talking louder and louder. And next thing you know, another lady from Walgreens comes splitting around the aisle. TJ, they're both looking at my phone, getting this stuff. TJ, I'm sitting there with a basket full of meat, candy, and sleepy pills. These two are bickering back and forth as loud as possible with my phone. The old lady has my phone still. TJ, I almost dropped my basket. And I'm not talking, TJ.
Just keep the phone too. We don't even need the phone.
TJ, and I'm not lying. We were probably within 4 yards away from the checkout line where everybody's like, there's people staring. They were 10 minutes, 15 minutes into this process. I almost left my basket down and just walked out of the store. Finally, they're like, these are the ones. I'm going, and of course I go, are you sure? Are you sure these are the ones?
Just take them. Just take them.
Well, but at that point, the back of my mind, I'm going to my wife going, if I come home, she's not going to believe this story to begin with because she's going to think I made this story up because I screwed up the order to begin with.
Yeah.
So I'm like, these ladies like, okay, are you sure? Are you sure? Yeah, we're sure. And everybody's chuckling, laughing, huh? And like, I'm going to walk up to the cash register place. And out of nowhere, one of the ladies goes, sir, excuse me, sir. These are buy one, get one free. If you'd like another one, I go, no, I'm good. And I just, so like, I'm completely mortified. I'm like, I get up. And of course, as I get up to the cash register, there's a young chick. She can't be more than like 20 years old, 19 years old, the cash register.
Sure.
And the more I keep putting two and two together, I'm looking at my basket. I'm going, sleepy pills, beef jerky, candy, and feminine products. I'm going, I look at her, I go, in the back of my mind, I'm going, not only, some of the stuff I thought was man stuff, TJ, that's like a time of the month thing for like a woman to just be like carving away, let's feed your face. So I look at this girl and I go, this isn't for me. And she just looks at me dead in the eyes and just put her head down and just chink, chink, chink. And I was like, oh. Like,
creepy old man on aisle 4.
TJ, I get to the car and I put my head down and that like kind of begun the whole thing because I still had to stop at like Mariano's and they screwed up my order, so I had to go inside and I might as well just done my shopping inside for as long as I was waiting inside. It was just a awful, like I got home and I told my wife, I go, I don't know if I'm ever going to do this. Not at that store. You'd have to send me to another state before I
get it.
TJ, I
understand. I totally get it, and it's going to get worse, Tim, because you have another girl coming. You got your little girl. Someday she's going to need those products too, Tim.
I'm not going.
Well, you know what? Sometimes she'll just look at you and say, "Dad, I need this,"
and I'll say, "You get on your bike and go get yourself.
Get on your bike.
Or whatever
Dodge
she is.
traffic. Do whatever you got to do.
If she's 10, if it's that bad, I'll just flip her the keys in my car and be like, just be safe. Get back safe. Because TJ, I mean, it was a half-hour experience.
Well, so you know what happens too, depending on what happens, you know, the girls, those times of the month, they start to sync up. Did you know that, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, I can assume that. No,
That means
I didn't know
it's
that.
the same
I didn't
time.
know that. I didn't know that. That can't
Yeah.
be right. That has to be a lie of,
It's
mass
true.
proportion.
It's true. Imagine having 3, 4 daughters. I mean, that's true. All the same time of the month.
Really?
Yeah, look it up. Look it up. It's real. It's true.
That's not real. That's not, I don't think you're.
Ask your wife. Ask your wife. It's the gift that keeps on giving, Tim.
There's TJ.
So do me a favor, anybody that
No.
happens to be in Chicagoland, if you ever see Tim at the Walgreens or the Walmart, just scream, "I have your feminine product here, Tim," and he'll appreciate.
TJ, I'm scared to even go back in there because the old ladies, the young girl, the two ladies who were helping me were older. They ain't going nowhere.
No,
They're lifers there for the rest of their existence till their retirement. The young chick that was working, she probably won't be there next week because it's just turn. But those, I may never have to be able to go there again. TJ, when I say there was,
they'll be helpful, Tim. They
when I
love
say-
helping people like that.
when I say there was people, like a lot of people in there, TJ, I felt like I was going into a Sunday morning service and there was 1,000 people involved.
Well, Tim, I can't think of it happened to a nicer guy.
I guess, man.
So Tim once again was beaten by this time Walgreens. It happens. So Tim, is there anything else you'd like to add about in this soon to be international podcast?
Big week, TJ. It's a big game. It's
It
a
is.
big game, brother.
It is
It's a big game.
on Halloween night too. I mean, it just makes the spectacle
dude.
even bigger. Or Halloween day, I should say.
I'm either going to be a miserable SOB, walk around the neighborhood with my daughter dressed up all cute, or I'm going to be just high-fiving trees.
Well, let's hope it's the latter, Tim. Let's hope it's the latter.
I mean, we'll see, man. It's going to be either one of the two. It's either I'm getting dressed up and I'm going to be doing cartwheels with my daughter, or I'm going to be just what you see right now on the screen and just miserable, just saying, just give a kid candy and just let's go.
That's right. Well, let's hope it's the latter. Let's hope that it's you have a good day, not a bad day. Once again, I'm TJ, and I'm here with my brother Tim. We're the Yinzer Bros. Don't forget, if you like what you hear, spread the word, pass it along to your friends, your neighbors, subscribe, have the automatic things, spread the love. Again, we're the Yinzer Bros. Stay classy, Pittsburgh.
Still number one out here. All right.
Oh, I hope. See ya.